Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's me, Robert Phoenix, and it is Sunday Night AstroLive, and I am back again. And I don't think Jasper is going to be with me tonight. I don't think he's going to be here tonight because I have another guest in the house who may or may not make his appearance here at some point in time in the not so distant future. What's going on, everybody? It is definitely getting crazy out there. It's definitely getting crazy. And I'm going to try to I'm going to try to deconstruct some of the cray, and also, do a few different things that I've been wanting to do for a while. But I mean, obviously, we have to, take a look at what's going on right now, and we're. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that we entered into another reality on the 7th of January, and definitely going to look at that chart that was cast at 3:41 in the morning when Mike Pence and Congress certified the President-elect Joe Biden and the Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. So we're going to look at that tonight. We're going to look at that chart tonight. I also have uncovered the chart of, well, not the chart, but the birth date of Jake Angeli, also known as the Q-Shaman. I got his birth date. So we're going to look at his chart, which is pretty interesting in light of the events that we're experiencing now, and his role, which is still very unclear in a lot of ways. Very, very unclear. It's a very, very strange role. So let me introduce you to the latest Chatlander right here. So everybody say hi to Ringo. This is Ringo. And Ringo is the newest member of Chatlandia. And don't let him fool you. Don't let this little loving facade fool you. He is a little demon. So Ringo, we picked up Ringo today in San Antonio. And it's an interesting story. It's one of those synchronistic stories. So Ringo, you are now on the World Wide Web. Yes, from a muddy backyard to the World Wide Web. So it may take Jasper a while to actually come back into the fold here, but he'll be back. He's around. We're working out the animal dynamics. Ringo looks like an outlaw. So I'll tell you the dog story. Here's how it goes. I was at the county courthouse event, right, on Wednesday, and there was a couple there, and they had this cute little German Shepherd puppy. And I was going to ask them about this cute little German Shepherd puppy and where they got it. And then I turned, and then they were gone. I think our friend the Wisp is here, by the way. And they were gone. So I went to the hardware store yesterday to pick something up, and they were coming in as I was going out. And I said, "Oh, hey, there's that little puppy. I was going to ask you about this puppy and if there are any more puppies." And they said, "Yes, there are more puppies." And then I thought about it. I got the number of the guy who has the puppies. I called him. I was going to go yesterday, but it was like I was kind of on the fence, and then I went to HEB, and then who was at HEB but the couple and the puppy? So it was 3 times. Well, that's got to be a sign. That's got to be a sign. So anyway, we picked him up today. He's part German Shepherd and part Belgian Malinois. Those are those crazy dogs that do all the crazy stunts. And I don't want you doing that. This is not a good thing. No. No. Hey, stop it. He wants to eat my carpet. No. I think I'm going to have to get some professional dog training here because I think Ringo is a handful. He's definitely a handful. You cannot eat my carpet. And he's already taken 3 shits since I brought him home. He's peed 3 times. 2 of the shits were luckily outside the house, and one of the pees was outside the house. So this is a whole new scene. I mean, I've had dogs before. It's been a while. It's been a while, but I think he'll work out in the long run. I do. That's my sense. And it was like I kept running into these people. Anyway, and so no, I know, right? I know. He's 12 weeks old. He's a Libra. He's a Libra dog. He was born October 14th, which puts his sun on my Venus. So I think we have a bond. I definitely think we have a bond. As long as you don't eat my carpet, you're fine. All right, let's see who's here. Let's see who we've got. We've got Jane in Austin. Hi, Jane. Stephanie Ramirez. Astrology with Heather. Hi, what's going on, Heather? Good to see you. 10 Dragon 14, Pam Jerome in the house. There she is, lovely and talented Joan S., whom Ringo totally adopted today. Julie Sunshine, 333. What's going on? There's Z, there's Lils, Christine Mose, Tinfoil Tiara, Lisa Marie, Joan W. Ian Barber. What's going on, Ian? Let's see. Yellowbird S. Hey, right back at you. Snake Jones. No, you're right on time. Morgan Green in the house. There's Seeger, Ziggy. What's going on, Ziggy? Hope you're doing well. Carrie Rose in the house. Yeah, and Victoria V. Victoria V. What's going on, Double V? Mario Sarmiento. Hello, Mario. Sandra Wells. What's going on, cuz? No Jasper. Well, he'll be back. Jasper will be back. He was in here today hanging out with the Cardinals today. Wait, what? Wait, what is here? Hello, wait, what? Alabama Barbie? Let's see. Stephanie Ramirez. Jennifer Rubin. What's going on, Jennifer? Rebecca North. Oh, it is Cray Cray, all right. There he is, Frank Bry. Frank Bry. What's going on, Francis? Nice to see you. I doubt they will see those offices, Biden and Harris. It is really coming down to the 11th hour, 59 minutes, 59 seconds. Yes, a pooch. Yes. Yeah, I want to bet he's a Scorpio. Ringo's, he's a Libra. He's a Libra. Yeah. Ringo, you're getting lots of love already. I don't know where he is. Just don't eat the carpet. No, come on. Carpet's not for you. That headset. Hold on a second. He's already struck. What did you get, man? Oh, Jesus. Okay, we got to make sure that everything is out of the way here. You cannot have things. You cannot have things. Oh, God. Yeah, the first collateral damage has occurred. Right there. And I bought him a chew toy, and you think he wants a chew toy? No. Yeah, no chew toy. I bought him the chew toy. I got a crate too. Yeah, I got him a crate. So I got him some cool shit. And what does he go after? He goes after my earbuds. It's all right. I got more. Where's the puppy? You have to do the show holding him. Oh God, no, it's not going to happen. Well, I don't think it's going to happen. Not seen Office or 12 Years of Being written by Reckless Kamal. Yeah, it's going to be. Okay, you're back again. Okay, these cords are not. They're not for consumption. They are not for consumption. Why don't you get the chew toy I gave you? What are you doing? No, that's not for you. No. You're going to tuck my feet? No. Yeah, get on my shoe. Tuck my shoe. Don't eat that. Sorry about that. He'll be integrated here at some point. Right now, he wants to go after a power cord. And I don't think that's really in his best interest. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make that really difficult for you. Really difficult. Yeah, I just made that super difficult. That's why I'm the human. Here we go. Yep. I'm the human. Okay. All right, that should do it. Uh-oh, did someone pray for patience? Yeah, I know, right? Hey, look, it is he's the wild card. Look, I know he's going to be fine. I know that at some point this is going to be a totally kick-ass dog. I have that feeling. He's going to be good. And he's not too spirited. And he's not too. So there was his brother. He had this brother that was, man, he was big and he was barking. If I didn't have any cats, I probably would have taken that dog. And then there were two others who were very mild and almost too mild in some ways. And he was kind of in between. So being a Libra sun sign, I thought in between is good. I'll trade astrology reading for dog training advice. Christine, I might take you up on that since you are a dog trainer. I actually thought about you when it came to the dog training stuff. All right. I think I managed to keep him from chewing up another cord. So why don't we get going? Okay, so here's what we're going to do tonight. I'm going to look at the chart where they theoretically certified Biden and Harris at 3:41 in the morning. I'm going to look at that chart, which is a very problematic chart. It is a chart that does not lend itself to a peaceful transition whatsoever. And it doesn't matter what side you're on. It doesn't matter if you're on the left side or the right side. It's not going to be a peaceful transition. And we're already seeing the after effects of the shit show that happened at the Capitol. And I'm gonna look at the chart of Jake Angeli. I have his birth time. I have his birth date. This is the quote unquote Q-Shaman who has showed up alternately in pictures with Rudy Giuliani. And I believe his name is Mark Vos, who is Nancy Pelosi's son-in-law. And he was with Nancy Pelosi's son-in-law outside of the Capitol events. And Alex Jones did an interview with him. On Friday. And apparently he's been arrested. So I've got his date of birth. He's a Cancer. And so we'll get into his chart. Also, I've been in contact with John Levi, and he's given me permission to look at his chart and talk about his chart on the show. And I think it's a really interesting chart, especially in the light of his passion and discovery with Tartaria. And you'll see why when I pull it up. There's a total there. And I think we could probably look at the chart of the moment as well, and maybe catch up on what's happened with Trump. So we have a lot in store for us tonight. So let's buckle up and let's get her done. Hi, Marie MacArthur. Good to see you. All right, let's do the invocation here, and so that we can really set the space and clear the space for as complete a transmission as possible. Dear blessed and holy Mother, Father God, of the great central sun, within universal light, which is the light of Yeshua, Sananda, Emmanuel, and all the great avatars, we ask that only the highest and best information, truth, intelligence, and wisdom come through this channel for everyone at this particular time. And in so doing, that we are blessed and graced with the qualities of courtesy and respect, flexibility, fortitude, vision, patience, foresight, commitment, humor, above all humor, perspective, discernment, compassion, empathy, and love. We ask that any karmic residue be cleansed, purified, clarified, and removed from this stream at this time. Okay, let's boogie and do it. I just may have to look, hey, I may have to look down here every now and then just to check in with little Ringo, see what he's doing. He's very interested in this one corner of the cat tree. I think he wants to chew it up. No. Christine, you're going to be on speed dial. I can tell you that right now. You're going to be on speed dial. All right, why don't we do this? Let's ground this thing, and then let's look at the chart of the moment. Let's see where we are in space and time right now, which I think is probably a good place to start. I'm doing it for Washington, D.C. What? All right. Why don't we stay with Washington, D.C., since it seems to be the deflection point right now. So here we are. This is the chart of the moment, and there's a lot of tension here. There's a lot of tension, and it's Mars that's bringing the tension, squaring Jupiter, squaring Saturn, and squaring Pluto. And those Mars squares were kicking in on Wednesday. So we have Mars and Taurus, Mars-Uranus conjunction, and of course, with Jake Angeli, Mr. Q-Shaman, I mean, we have Mars and Taurus and Uranus and Taurus storming the gates of the Capitol or Congress, as we're. I'm not sure how much he stormed, though. I think he was let in. Misaki sent me this really interesting image that I want to bring into the discussion here. Let me see here. I'm going to find this thing. It's really interesting. Some of you have seen it. And let me send this to myself. Hold on. Okay. So it didn't seem like he did much storming. It seemed like he was let in quite easily. And there are a couple of characters around him that are quite problematic, by the way. And they're associated with the white nationalist movement. When you see his chart, you'll get a sense that he is probably more than likely a double agent of sorts. That's what it feels like to me. So here we go. We have the sun at 21 Capricorn. In 3 days, we're going to have a Sun-Pluto conjunction. And that's going to be, I think, very intense. Very, very intense. We got Pluto, which is headed direct. It's getting very close to the Pluto return to the country, which is going to happen in March. So we're not that far off from the Pluto return of the United States, where it was when this whole thing theoretically kicked off in 1776. And, you know, and I'll talk about this when we look at the chart for 3-7, because that's when everything got certified. You know, basically what we're dealing with now, and again, I'll kind of reiterate it and give it some context. Like, what we're dealing with now is that Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. And this is what I was talking about. And it's like you had this kind of radical point of contact on Wednesday. Whatever that was. Whatever it was, and I don't think most of it was being facilitated by so-called patriots. So that was this kind of theoretical expansive push, right? It pushed those that wing, that phalanx of so-called patriots, pushed themselves into Congress. They, you know, with this idea that it was going to be revolutionary, but it's not really revolutionary at all. In fact, it comes out of an old playbook, and I'll even I'll read you the playbook. It's a guy from Macedonia. Same thing happened in Macedonia. Anyway, so we had that, and then of course, what happens? We have the overreaction. We have the Saturnian pressure coming down on top, which is essentially having a massive impact on free speech and platforms that supposedly are free speech platforms, like Parler. I don't. It's funny. I've never really been to Parler. I've never been to Parler. I have a Gab account. I don't spend a lot of time in those places because they feel like echo chambers to me. Now that said, now they're going to feel like Warsaw ghettos in some ways. And I think Gab will stick around because I think Gab has done a few deals to stick around. Parler, that's a whole other story. They're going to have to find another cloud space. And I just think it's ridiculous that all of a sudden now they're using what happened on Wednesday as a pretext to slam free speech. But we knew it was coming. I mean, it wasn't like it was coming out of the blue. It's like, okay, well, geez, what's going to happen now? Okay, now they're going to blame the patriots. Now they're going to blame people that are into freedom and truth and the First Amendment. And they're going to use this moment in time to not only certify Pence, I'm sorry, not Pence, but Biden. And they actually have a domestic terror bill, which is like a 20,000 page domestic terror bill waiting in the wings. Did you think that they wouldn't have something like that? Of course they do. Of course they do. So if they get into office and there still is a slim slither of a chance that perhaps at the 11th hour and the 59th minute and the 59th second that the Insurrection Act led by Simon Parks will take place. I just find it fascinating that the so-called revolution in the Insurrection Act is being led by Simon Parks. Like Simon Parks has somehow now become the default person, the trigger guy for this whole thing. I don't know how that happened. Anyway, if Biden and Harris manage to take up residence inside the White House, like I said, they got a 22,000 page anti-terror bill. And it's probably an absolute and utter nightmare. What are you doing? What are you doing down there? It's probably an absolute and utter nightmare. But that's what they did when they had the bombing down in Atlanta for the Olympics, which, by the way, was saved by Richard Jewell, who was defended by Lynn Wood. And Lynn Wood originally didn't believe that Richard Jewell was innocent. And eventually he came around to Richard Jewell's side and wound up being able to negotiate a pretty good settlement for Richard Jewell. So here we are. We're kind of back at that moment again because, right after that happened in the Olympic Village in Atlanta, they had an anti-terror bill that the Clintons had ready to go and were rolling out, and it had a lot to do with surveillance and certain types of semi-automatic weapons, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So here we go again. It's the same playbook, different event, same playbook. Instead of the Olympic Village in Atlanta, we had the Congress. So, the next couple of days I think are going to be they could be very dark. When we get into the Sun-Pluto conjunction, we're probably in the darkest part of this winter, even though we've already come through the darkest night, theoretically, with the winter solstice. I think the Sun-Pluto conjunction is even darker than that. And I don't know if I could somehow draw a picture of what the energy looks like. It to me, it is equal parts dark. It's not like one side has a patent or copyright on the darkness. I think we're plunging into a territory here that is very intense, and we're really on the cusp of it over the course of the next couple of days. And as the sun continues to move closer into orb with Saturn, and it'll be there right around the 20th. So we're talking 9 days, and that's so 19 days. So right around the 20th, you're going to have that Sun-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius, and all those planets are going to be in Aquarius. Venus will still be in Capricorn, if I'm not mistaken. But that's going to be a powerful time. And we're going to have the sun squaring Uranus and the sun squaring Mars. And, again, a lot of it depends on this, what I would call the dynamic interchange with this great conjunction, which is kicked off on the 21st, right? And we're going to be living with that great conjunction energy for 20 years. So we're sorting out essentially the next 2 decades. And I think early on, and it's a long game, right? Because Saturn is a long game. Oh, okay. Yeah. So somebody just texted me and said they had signed up for notifications, and then they wanted to see if I was on tonight, and they weren't notified, and they've been unsubscribed, which is what YouTube does. YouTube is great at unsubscribe. I'm going to be making a move, by the way. I'm going to be making a move. I've got to make a move, and I'll be working on it this week. And hopefully by the time the sun gets into Aquarius, and the move, I'll be streaming off of robertphoenix.com. I'm going to be talking with my web designer tomorrow and get hopefully a lot of the broken stuff fixed, and then put things into place where I'll be streaming off the site. And what I'll probably do is like a half an hour live to YouTube, and then after that first half hour, it will all be inside the website. So, and hopefully I'll have a really good client, and I'll have a good chat in there, and that's coming. That's coming because I think my days on YouTube are probably numbered. I don't like to hold that mindset, but I think they're numbered. I think at some point, because of Friday's show, I got a lot of interest, and I think positive interest in Friday's show. So I'll keep you guys abreast of that, and we'll figure out how that's going to work. So I think that's the plan. But we have to get through this Sun-Pluto conjunction in the next few days, because I think things are just starting to get wound up. tomorrow, theoretically, from what I've heard, they may try to do the 25th Amendment on Trump. They may try to impeach him on Monday. I mean, I think they probably would have the votes. I don't think it would be that difficult at this point in time. So if something's going to happen on the quote unquote Trump side of things, it's probably going to have to happen between midnight and 7 a.m., 8 a.m. tomorrow in Washington, D.C. Because it would only take 2-3 days. Like they could start everything on Monday and they could wrap it up 2-3 days later. Oh. Ringo is barking. Hold on a second. What are you doing? You gotta leave the cats in them, man. They live here. Cats live here. They live here. Well, if that's a bad guy, it's a good thing. Cats live here. You don't have to bark at them. Anyway, the Sun-Pluto conjunction. That this is a test right here. This is a major test. And I think we'll have a couple of more. Let's see, Pluto goes into Aquarius when finally in 2025. So we'll have at least 4 more conjunctions with the Sun and Pluto in Capricorn before then. So we're winding down with these last Sun-Pluto conjunctions in Capricorn. And it's in the third decan, so it's in the Virgo decan. Pluto is. I think one of the things that'll probably come out of that, because Virgo is the people's sign, that they'll probably get into some redistribution of wealth model. I mean, I feel like that's sort of concurrent with this idea of the reset. So let me see, what is the Sabian symbol for what do we got? 24 Capricorn. Let's check that out. I think this is an interesting symbol. This is a very interesting symbol because it speaks to a different type of operation. And it's an operation that I think is more akin to probably some form of inaction than action. We've just come out of a very intense Mars and Aries phase for, about 9 months. And I can feel a shift in the energy, definitely. Like when Mars is in Aries, man, I was fired up. I was totally fired up. So my 5th house, those last degrees were trining my Jupiter, trining my Uranus in my chart. So I could definitely feel the Mars shift. But here we go. So this is Capricorn 24. A woman entering a convent. A total commitment to a transcendent goal. A convent is a place made available by a community which believes in the possibility of reaching a world transcending state of consciousness. It is made available to individuals who may be variously motivated. To some, it is an escape from the intolerable pressures of family and society. To others, it represents the possibility of pursuing in peace a spiritual ideal to which the whole being aspires and is totally dedicated. The important point in this phase of the cyclic process is that the existence of a convent expresses another aspect of the relationship between the society, its religion and culture, and the individual. In the preceding symbol, society awarded the individual for a noble performance in its service. Here, society accepts the fact that beyond its daily normal patterns of behavior and commitments, Another way of life exists, which in a higher sense also has social value. In the old Hindu society dominated by a rigid caste system, the ideal embodied in the sannyasi, the wandering holy man or yogi, meditating in a forest or a cave, who had entirely given up all that caste implied, was seen to be the very culmination of the social process. In this fourth stage symbol, we see the paradoxical nature of the social process operating more strongly than ever. This derives from the fact that man's nature contains in seed the possibility of overcoming and transcending itself in acts of complete denials and of surrender to a higher law or quality of being. All spiritual techniques are indeed paradoxical. Rigid discipline conditions pure inner freedom. The final goal is the attainment of transcendent security. So how I think that applies to this time now is that that image or that symbol evokes being out of the world. Like, this is not a time to really be in the world. This is not a time to be taking up theoretical arms. This is a time to really go within. So, I'm not saying that you should play the role of the gray man, but I would take all the anxious energy that you feel, or looking around for, when something's going to happen or when something's going to happen. And I think those things are good. Like, you could keep your eyes on the horizon. But it feels to me like that symbol is really about withdrawing from the world and being in a place that's meditative and contemplative. And that should be the goal, right? And even over the course of the next 24 hours, that should be the goal as well, right? That should be or like 48 hours, 72. I think it's going to be 72 hours before we have the Sun-Pluto conjunction. I think it would be a good thing. So, unplugging. I mean, a lot of the Twitter chatter and a lot of the internet channels that people have been watching and getting a lot of information from, they're being taken down. So I think it would be a good way for people to tap into their own source, or to be able to tap into that thing that's inside of them that leads them through this point of darkness, even if it's just for 72 hours. But Pluto is going to be at 24 Capricorn and around 24 Capricorn for a while. It gets to 25, then it gets to 26. And, so right now I think we can learn. Like, that symbol has something to say and to speak to us. It's really interesting. John Levi has a new video out, and he talks about Balboa Park and how Balboa Park in San Diego seems to have all the earmarks of a kind of Tartarian kind of structure, edifice. And what's interesting is that it does dovetail with the Sabian symbols, because that's where they they were sort of spoken into being over one weekend there with Elsie Wheeler and Mark Edmund Jones. The 26th and the 27th degrees of Pluto, I think, are the ones that are of immense interest, because that they represent the Pluto return of the U.S. So at 26, it's a nature spirit dancing in the iridescent mist of a waterfall. But it's at 27 that I really feel like Pluto kicks in and is the beacon, right? It is the beacon shining from the past on July 4, 1776, as Pluto goes from 26 to 27 Capricorn. Pilgrims climbing the steep steps leading to a mountain shrine. The ascent of the individualized consciousness to the highest realizations reached by spiritual leaders of its culture. Isn't that interesting? That's interesting. And, no matter what you think of the United States and its failings, at times it's dazzling moments of prowess. At times it's bloody and beating heart, bruised, bloody, and beating heart. No matter what you think of this place, it is a unique place. And the energy here has been unlike any other energy on any continent for a while. Obviously, there have been other continents and other times and other places. And we may or may not live up to the ideals that were laid out here. But the fact that those ideals were laid out here and that they are a beacon coming through from a particular point in time, I think is important. It's important. And I think that it's not just about being an American. I think it has to do with this idea and this quality of ascent, and really a spiritual ascent through one's life. And it hasn't been an easy story, and the story itself has been absolutely hijacked along the way many, many times. But in that original place, in that original placement of Pluto, there is something there, and there is the potential for a profound and transcendent kind of message for us and the rest of the world. So we have something to live up to. We definitely have something to live up to, and we're playing in a 3D world at this point. But I feel like that the something to live up to is beyond third dimensional. And the one thing about Capricorn is that Capricorn sets the bar high, and the goals are fairly high. And I think that somewhere along the way, we got sidetracked, and we lost sight of a lot of those goals for a lot of different reasons, many of which I've covered before here on this show. From everything from, collective trauma to the importation of illegal drugs, the dispensation of legal drugs. I mean, there has been, I think, a real concerted effort by the people that leech off this system to keep us from reaching, really what we can achieve in this lifetime with these bodies. And that goes for everybody on this planet, by the way. But it feels like this place had a particular inception and a particular vision and a transcendent goal that was theoretically laid out for everybody. And again, it's not perfect. It's not been a perfect goal. It's not been a perfect plan, but it's been very unique and different than anything else in the modern era. I don't think anything really relates to it in the modern era. But the country that we knew is over. It is over, and it will be over when we go through the Pluto conjunction, and something new has to be born out of it. What's born out of it? Well, I guess we're going to find out, right? So, getting back to the chart of the moment, I feel like we have this opportunity to enter in to the potential of Pluto here at that 24th degree, right? To go into a place where we can experience a commitment to some kind of transcendence. Because I feel like right now, dealing with the outer world is really challenging. With all these squares going on right now, it's almost like there's too much going on. There's almost too much to take in. There's almost too much to deal with. Now, I'll do my best to continue to put my coal miner's lamp on, because that's pretty much what I'm here to do. But don't feel bad if you have to unplug, right? Don't feel bad if you just have to say, hey, look, I got to tap out for a bit. But when you tap out, don't tap out and simply curl up into a ball. If you tap out for a little bit, be conscious of it, right? You need to do spiritual work, whatever that is. Some people pray, some people fast, some people do yoga, some people meditate, some people do all of the above. This is a really cold, dark time of year. So I don't think you're going to do much gardening. I don't think you're going to do much mountain climbing. Maybe like Owen Benjamin, you can go out and do some cross-country skiing at 5 o'clock in the morning. Maybe that can be your meditation. But this is a time, I think, where it really pays to be quiet, to listen, to find that that still small voice inside yourself, especially over the next 72 hours. And if all this is true, that we're going to be headed into 3 days of darkness, 10 days of darkness, that might actually happen. If there's a period of time where I could see it happening, it would be a year with the Sun Pluto conjunction. And that could be pretty scary, especially when you've got a new dog. 10 days of darkness with Ringo could be very interesting. We have the moon just beginning to separate a little bit in a square with Neptune right now. So I know a lot of people are trying to find out, what's going on, what's happening. Is Trump going to? I think I must have got at least half a dozen texts to tell me to keep my updates off on the phone, so that Apple doesn't come in and hack my phone, so the president can't do an emergency broadcasting on the phone, right? So there's a lot happening right now, and there's a lot that's not happening right now. So try to keep your emotions in check. Try not to get too stressed out. There's a lot, I think, over the course of the next, even 12 hours, when the moon is in Sag squaring off against Neptune, where I think people can feel very unsettled and feeling like, there's a sense of security, not a sense of security. When the moon moves into Capricorn, and we have the new moon coming up in a couple days, that's going to be a very interesting time. It may not be warm and fuzzy, by the way. It may not be a warm and fuzzy time. It's going to be new moon in let me see, where is it? But we'll have the balsamic moon in Capricorn. So what do we have here? That's going to be yeah. Let's look at it. Second here. (2021). All right. So on the 12th, we're going to have the new 13th. We're going to have the new moon in Capricorn. Yeah, man, that's going to be intense right there. Absolutely. And then it's going to be the 14th. It's going to be Thursday. So Wednesday, Thursday, right around there, 13th and 14th. On Wednesday, the 13th, at 23 degrees, the sun will be conjunct Pluto. We'll have the new moon in Capricorn. It's a lot of Capricorn. It's a lot of Capricorn. When I feel into that, again, the energy to me is really dark. Yeah, it's just dark. I just keep getting this sense of darkness, and I wish I could articulate it more, because but where do you go with it? We're already kind of entering into the crystal knock, the night of long knives. They're doing it on the internet, and how far will they take this theoretically? I mean, that's how dark it could potentially be. Would they just continue to, use this event on Wednesday to instill fear, take more channels down, take more sites down? I mean, where does it end? Where does the justification for what theoretically happened on Wednesday end? And then what about the other side? The other side is saying, hey, you're going to go through, 6 days of darkness, 7 days of darkness, 10 days of darkness. It's just dark. It's dark all the way around, and even outside it's dark. And I'm not talking about the outside in terms of the evening light. No, today we had dark skies with snow here. So these are the times that test men and women, right? So this energy of going into the convent to really prepare yourself spiritually for what's coming, I think, is a pretty important thing to think about and wrap your head around. Let me see what we got here. I got to go into the void. I'll be back in a second. All right, let me see if I can get this. Let's see. What do we have here? No. Okay. I gotta find this thing. Give me 1 second. I was looking for the image that Misaki sent me, and it didn't come all the way through. So I gotta line it up again. What are you doing? Hey, no. Hey, no. He's making funny noises. All right. Give me 1 second. There it is. Send it one more time. Okay. All right. So that's the chart of the moment. And I wish there was that. Oh, there we go. Beautiful. Thank you. I wish there was a lot more light and illumination associated with this time. There's just not. I mean, we are in a very, very, very dark place, and I can't spin it any other way. So the only way through it is to get through it. And the only way to get through it, I think, is to be really spiritually prepared for what's coming to the best of your ability. Right? It's a time to reach in, reach down, reach deep. I wanted to talk about why don't I look at the chart for the event for when Joe Biden was certified. Let me bring that up. And I definitely need some dog school here. It's been a long time since I've had a dog. I had one starting when I was 26, and then he passed away when I was 41. It's a long time. He was a good dog. He's a super good dog. So this is at 3:41 in the morning, January 7th. What's interesting is that I think the verbiage said that they had to certify this by the 6th. And I don't think it makes much of a difference that it was certified by the 7th. But it's interesting in that it wasn't certified by the 6th. But this is a bloody chart. I mean, look at this. If this is the certification and this is really the moment that the Biden-Harris administration are being essentially validated with, this is not a good start to their administration at all. I mean, for whoever is, theoretically, on pulling for that administration or wanting that administration to be in place, this is not a great inception. And for people that are not into Biden and Harrison, for obvious reasons. And I don't think they have anything to do with Donald Trump, by the way. I don't think they have anything to do with Donald Trump. I think they have to do with the fact that if you look at who Joe Biden has put into position inside the military side of things, he's got full-on neocon fucking hawks. Okay? He's got neocon hawks. He's got people that are willing to dust up and go to war. By the way, Israel started bombing Damascus. Well, all the shit is going on here, and we're trying to figure out who's president, who's not president. We're trying to cast out the so-called hated right. Meanwhile, Israel's taking shots at Damascus. And I don't think Russia is going to protect Syria this go around. I think Russia has pretty much made deals with Israel at this point. Israel would not go in and start strafing Damascus if they didn't get the okay from Putin and the Russians. So this is not a good deal for anybody. You know, on the Biden side of things domestically, well, I don't think it's going to be great. I think it's a transition government for the technocrats, just like the Kerensky government was a transition government for Lenin and the Bolsheviks. And that ultimately the technocrats will take over, and nobody will benefit from the technocrats. In the short term, people who are kind of, lined up to get the benefits of a Biden-Harris presidency, they'll get them, but it'll be short term at best. 4 years maybe, 8 at the most. By that time, the technocrats will be in, and Agenda 21 will be fully in force, and it will be a very, very different world. And that's going to happen unless some other things happen, which I do think will happen along the way, because I don't think that's the script ultimately that will be played out. But this is not great. I mean, we could just get into, this fucking bloody T-square all night if we want to. Look at the moon, square Mercury, square Jupiter, square Saturn. This is and it's the 29th degree, anaretic Libra. It's like there's nothing left with that moon. And the Libra moon is supposed to be balanced and fair. Maybe earlier in the day when it was at, about 20, 26, it might have been a little bit better. There's no energy left in that moon. There's none. Zero, zilch, nada. No energy whatsoever. And then we have the oppositions to Mars just coming in at 0 Taurus, opposing Uranus. It's tense, it's turgid, it's troubled. Sorry, I'm playing hacky sack with my puppy. Yeah, I mean, this is not great. Absolutely not great. You can see some deal making in place here, I think, with the Venus sextile to the moon, Venus at 28 Sagittarius, right? I think you could see some of that, obviously. That there clearly was deal making going on. True node in Gemini, 7th house. But this is trouble, man. This is very troubled. You got the Mars squares going on. Mars squaring Jupiter, Mars squaring Saturn. We've gone through this Mars squaring Pluto. This is about as tense as it gets. About as tense as it gets. About the only planet that has any kind of relief is Venus. And you've got the Venus trying to Mars and the Venus trying to Uranus. And who knows what the long-term effects of that are going to be. I mean, they could be beneficial. But again, even at 28 degrees, that's that crazy degree that's at the end of a sign. And it's just coming off the galactic center. But then we have Venus squaring Neptune. Those are bad deals. Those are really bad deals. Venus-Neptune deals don't last. Hey. Why are you into this? This is not something you want. It's not something you want. I'm telling you right now. Now he's attacking my shoe. You attack my shoe. Don't attack that. Christine, you're getting a call tomorrow. There's no way you can start a country with this chart. If anything, this is about deconstructing a country. Absolute deconstruction. You train why? So why does a puppy get obsessed with like a certain? Why are you obsessed with that? What is up? Why? What is the magic around that thing? Oh no, this could be bad. Hold on. I moved that. You can't get that. No, you can't. I mean, you can't start an administration. I mean, this is. I mean, you can look at the inauguration, but I don't think the inauguration is it. I think this is the inception of the administration. And I don't care. I don't care if you're on the right or the left. This is not great. Sorry, it's just not great. It's not great. I'll tell you who it's great for. It's great for the people that want to dismantle the country. That's who this is great for. It's great for China. By the way, I saw a video today where this guy was talking about how he has a friend in Oklahoma who is a rancher in Oklahoma. And he says that the Chinese are offering 2-3 times the price of land, available land in Oklahoma, and people are selling their properties for that price. So let's say you've got a property worth, oh, I don't know, $700,000. You're getting over $2 million for that property. And that's happening frequently. Frequently. In the Bay Area, people from the Chinese, mainland Chinese buy houses with cash in the Bay Area. And again, paying over and above the asking price. Here in Texas, in Austin, they buy brand new cars, cash. So there's something going on. There is something major going on. And remember, when we looked at China's chart, there's Jupiter and there's Saturn right on China's midheaven. Like they're expanding. They're ascendant. They're expanding. This is not an expansive chart at all. And in fact, even with Pluto in the Pluto conjunction, that is a deconstructive chart. So you have a country that is expanding, and you have another country that's going through a painful metamorphosis. Very painful. Because this entire time, 2020, has been just challenging on so many levels for people with the fake fucking COVID. Sorry, it's a fake. I think it's there's a there, okay? There's a there, but it's not a there that justifies shutting down the entire planet. Sorry. And there are numbers in that support that. And then we've had the intense rhetoric and the fractalization of this whole election cycle, election process. And who was? I think it was Emily that brought something up that was really, I think, insightful. Is they wanted Kamala Harris to be president, and when Tulsi Gabbard knocked her teeth out in the debates, they had to figure out another way to bring her in, and that's when Biden got on board. And it was like as soon as Biden hit South Carolina in the debates, that was it. It was like they made the decision it's going to be Biden, and they made the decision it was going to be Kamala Harris, and that's the way it was. So let's talk about Jake Angeli. Jake Angeli is the Q-Shaman. He was on Alex Jones. I'll show you guys this. So I can find it. Where is it? Right there. So here's Jake Angeli, and he's a hard guy to kind of wrap your arms around, because if you listen to his interviews, and by the way, there are plenty of interviews with him out there. He was on Laura Eisenhower's show. I mean, he sounds like he could be a guest for the Friday fucking Firecast. I mean, he has got the rap down. He talks about Cloward Piven. He talks about the child trafficking. He's got the rap down. And yet, there are a lot of questions around this guy. A lot of questions. So I want to bring up this graphic that Misaki sent me, and then we're going to get into his chart. So this is actually a really interesting graphic. So here we go. I think this is Romans 4:55, and we have the exact sort of same imagery. This looks like a woodcut. You have these guys who are taking this column, this post, and we have this clown. He just got arrested theoretically as well. And then we have the Q-Shaman, and then we have, well, the Q-Shaman. This is Rome 4:55. My bad. These are the Vandals of Rome. Rome 4:50. That was Romans 4:55. This is Rome, theoretically in 4:55. They stormed the Capitol. I guess these are the barbarians, huh? Interesting. There we go again. Now, what's problematic is that this guy and then this guy behind him, and I don't know about this guy, but these two guys are white nationalists. They're white nationalists. And isn't that interesting? And one of the guys, his name is, let me see if I can find his name. Let's do this here. Let's see, where is it? This one guy, his name is Matt something. Oh God, now I got to find it a different way. Hold on. Here he is. So this is the guy that is in the photo with Buffalo Shaman. His name is Matthew Heimbach. He's an Aries. So he's from Poolesville, Maryland. Went to Towson State. Known for Traditionalist Worker Party, Unite the Right rally. So this guy feels a lot like one of these Charlottesville people. And in fact, Heimbach is a defendant in the Sines versus Kessler lawsuit filed by Integrity First for America that claims that he and other organizers in 2017, the Unite the Right white supremacist rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, planned, promoted violence against a protected group. So it says here that he was excommunicated from the Antiochian Orthodox Christian Archdiocese of North America, the Christian denomination in which he formerly held membership, for the racist views he held at that time. So how does Matt Heimbach show up in that photo with Q-Shaman? Why is he there? Right? And why is Q-Shaman? Why is Q-Shaman? Oops. Hold on a second. Why is Q-Shaman at that event with them? Right? Here we go. One more time. Yeah, Rome 4:55, Washington, D.C., 2021. Now, supposedly, he's been arrested. But who is this guy? Right? I mean, literally, he just popped in out of nowhere, but he's been seen at Antifa rallies, theoretically BLM rallies. He was doing the invocation for climate activism. Well, I found his birth date. So I'm going to pull up his chart here and see if we can glean anything from him. Where is he? Yeah. So he goes by the name of Jake Angeli. Now, I don't know the time he's born. but because he's a bull shaman, I made him a Taurus rising, which, by the way, would put his midheaven at 0 Aquarius, which I think might be appropriate because of the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. So one of the things that's interesting about this chart is the Neptune Sun opposition, right? Neptune Sun opposition. Because people have Neptune Sun oppositions can be driven by delusions of grandeur. Now, it can be something that could manifest itself in a very interesting sort of way, quite possibly. You know, like you are so convinced of your spiritual mission with Neptune opposing the sun like that, that you would just keep following that thing regardless of what happens to you. Or it could lead to, you know, enlightenment, obliteration, imprisonment. I mean, it's very quixotic, this Neptune Sun opposition. And I think in a lot of ways it is kind of the sort of the hallmark or emblematic of his chart, because we don't really know who he is. And Neptune sort of Neptune is sort of a cloud in some ways. It's not a cloud when it's on top, like it's when it's on top of on top of the sun, and conjunct the sun. But there's something that we have to kind of go through in order to like get to the other side of who this guy is. And the other thing is that he's got he's got the potential of totally being a split personality, because he has Venus in Gemini and he has Chiron in Gemini. So, you know, what is that all about? It's, you know, Gemini is you know, it's duality, it's polarity. And to me, I mean, it's not the sun, but it's, you know, Venus is a pretty important planet in the chart. So he could have different relationships with different groups of people. Like, I think this guy is an operative. That's what I think. I think he's an operative. I mean, he was in the Marines, so he's got a military background. We know that. So we look at two of the major players that were part of this event. We have Ashley Babbitt, who's a Libra, by the way. She's born 10/10. And then we have Jake Angeli, and they're both military. Jake Angeli was a Marine. Ashley Babbitt, Air Force, with a pretty high clearance, by the way. And by the way, Ashley Babbitt's material does not add up. I'll get into more of her tomorrow. I don't want to get into her tonight. But this chart is really fraught with opposition. The Venus-Uranus opposition. That's kind of, I mean, that's kind of interesting. I mean, he could hang out with just about anybody, right? With a Venus-Uranus opposition, and especially in Gemini. I think he is a bit of a shapeshifter, but not in the sense that he's a shapeshifter that actually takes on an animal form. He's a shapeshifter in that it's hard to get a handle on this dude. But I do think he's an operative. Who he's an operative for, I have no idea. I mean, there's pictures with him and Rudy Giuliani, and they're buddy-buddy, and it looks like they're doing a secret grip. There's pictures with him and Mark Vos, who is Nancy Pelosi's son-in-law, right? There's pictures with him with white supremacists. So, I mean, this guy is a really slippery character. And when you hear him talk, he sounds like he could be right in Chatlandia, and you guys would probably love him. He's got a bit of a force here. He's got Trudeau in Aries, Jupiter in Aries, Jupiter trine Uranus. I mean, that's actually a pretty interesting trine. You know, that's a trine that has, you know, he's very good at speaking off the cuff. Very good at speaking off the cuff. I've seen interviews with him. The guy's really articulate. And he's got a Jupiter trine to Saturn. So that's, I think, in some ways, combine that with Uranus here, that allows him to make abstract views a little bit more solid and mainstreamable. And when you hear him talk, he talks about pretty, you know, intense, dark shit. And he makes it sound like somebody on the street can actually follow him. He doesn't sound crazy. I'm telling you, he doesn't sound crazy. And I think he's a very slippery fellow. Sometimes with Neptune Sun oppositions, there can also be potentially drug use. Now, I can't verify that or not, but there was something I read on the internet that a cop in Arizona found him stirring up shit at a MAGA rally one time. And the cop said he was a meth head. I don't know if he's a meth head or not. The cop said he was. Neptune Sun opposition, there's the potential for that. But, he's got some interesting aspects. I'm not going to sit here and slam the guy. I mean, these are interesting aspects. Jupiter trine Uranus is a very interesting aspect. It's like genius. And with the Saturn trine, he makes things, sound and feel very kind of mainstreamable. And he's got a Sun trine to Pluto. He's got a Mercury trine to Pluto. This guy's got some juice. And he's got Pallas in Scorpio conjunct Pluto. What do we know about Pallas? It's pattern recognition. I mean, he calls himself a self-initiated shaman. With this aspect, I don't think that that's too far out of the question. I think that that's possible, because to me, this is potentially very shamanic. I mean, Scorpio is the underworld, right? The 8th house is the house of the shamanic realm, and he's got Pallas conjunct Pluto. Retrograde, both of them. He's got some juice, man. This guy's got some juice. He's got a Mercury Pluto trine. He's Mercury in Cancer. He's got good memory. This guy's got a very good memory. So when you watch him, like whether it's with Alex Jones or Laura Eisenhower or somebody else that I've seen an interview that he did, I mean, he's got a good mind for facts, historical figures. I mean, this guy is there's a there with this dude. But I also have to say that he is actually really slippery, right? This is the slippery part. The Sun Neptune opposition, the Venus Chiron conjunction, Venus opposing Uranus, Chiron opposing Uranus. Well, you're going to get Chiron opposing Uranus most times. Venus opposing Uranus. He's an interesting character, astrologically speaking. He also takes lots of risks, right? He's got the Mars square to Jupiter in his chart, which to me is heightened risk taking. And he's got the true node in Aries. So he's here to do his thing. He's not here to, play Libra and make friends. So I don't know, what's going to come of this guy. But clearly he has become like part of the American story. Whether you're into him or not, or whether you trust him. Frankly, I don't trust him. That's not to say that I don't think he has an interesting chart. I think there's some very interesting things going on here. But now he's become part of the American story, for better or for worse. He's got a lot of water in his chart. People have a lot of water are able to convey things in an emotional way. They're emotional containers. And they can really convey and project soul, emotion, and sometimes heart, right? He's got a lot of water. He has Black Moon Lilith here conjunct Mars. That's mother issues. And he's got some stuff going on with his name. Like his real name is it Chasen, I think? There's a weird thing going on with his stepdad and taking his mother's name. I think Angeli is his mother's maiden name. So he's got some interesting stuff going on with his mother, with Black Moon Lilith and Mars. Now it looks like he's going to spend some time in the pokey, or is he? Who knows with these people? Who knows? I mean, he's shaking hands with Rudy Giuliani. He's hanging out with Nancy Pelosi's son-in-law prior to the event at the Capitol. He's standing there with these guys that started Unite the Right. right? I mean, this is a classic case of a Neptune Sun opposition. You don't know who he is. You don't know who he is. And I really do think that this is, I'm going to say this is probably pretty close to his birth time because of Saturn and Jupiter hitting that midheaven, and bam, he comes onto the scene. He's been around for a while. He's got a big channel up. He's got a big channel on Rumble, apparently. He's got all these videos. He's written all these books. I mean, who does that shit? And manages to go off and, fly all over the country and be part of all these events. Who pays this guy? Where's he getting this money from? These are all, I think, important questions. Not entirely grounded. Let's take away the ascendant in Taurus. He has Neptune and the moon in earth signs, right? Neptune, Capricorn, moon in Virgo, which again is in a trine. And that's very poetic and very soulful and can convey a lot of feeling. So I think if you spend time around this guy, you'd probably have a pretty good time. I think you'd probably have a pretty good time. And he only has one square, which is the Mars-Jupiter square, which is about, taking risks, I think. Maybe taking too many risks. But this is an interesting chart. It's a very interesting chart. But I still don't know who he is. And I still don't trust him. That's my 2 cents. Do we get any closer with Jake Angeli? I don't know. I think the one thing that we could take away from this is that he has unique alliances. He has very unique alliances with the Venus Chiron conjunction in Gemini. And there are 3 signs, I've said this before, that I think are the 3 signs that are the best at spycraft: Gemini, Scorpio, and Pisces. And with Neptune opposing the Sun, good luck. Good luck finding answers on Jake Angeli. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts on Mr. Bull Shaman? I got to go into the void. Hold on a second. Let's see. What are your thoughts on Q-Shaman? The guys didn't do anything violent. No, they didn't do anything violent. It's true. It's true. They didn't do anything violent. Perception is everything, though, right? I mean, it's all about perception management. And you could say that they didn't do anything violent, and we could play all the violence that took place, over the summer with BLM and Antifa, and it won't even come close to what happened in the Capitol. It's all about narrative and controlling the narrative. He looks like he auditioned for a low-budget Minotaur movie. He's a hologram counterfeit soul. That's interesting, David. David Palmer, Leo King in the house. I would love to. Maybe I should. Yeah, man. David, why don't you come on the show next week if you're available? Why don't you come on next week? Because I want to talk to you about this chart, and I think it'd be great for you and I to jam again, because I think so too. I mean, that Neptune Sun opposition is just, not everybody has that in their chart, and it's really hard to get a handle on them. Really, really hard. Yes. Yeah, really hard to get a handle on that stuff. So, David, come, let's jam again next week. I'd love to have you back on. Yeah, I mean, for me, he feels like he's a complete. Yeah, I mean, I would say he feels like a hologram. I mean, it's like all of a sudden he pops up out of nowhere, and I know he's got a sister and he's got a past. I mean, I've got his record, by the way. He's got about 12 traffic offenses. The guy doesn't like to own auto insurance, apparently. So he actually exists. He does exist. But the way that he just sort of popped up and became this symbol, and from an astrological standpoint, I mean, it doesn't get much more symbolic than a guy wearing a fucking buffalo hat inside Congress with Nancy Pelosi's seat. And we've got Mars in Taurus and Uranus in Taurus and the Mars-Uranus conjunction. I mean, that's pretty symbolic. I mean, even if he's a hologram, or even if he's somebody who is a really slippery character, and I think he is, I think he's hard to wrap your arms around. It's still, from an astrological perspective, like kind of like spot on, right? I mean, that's a symbol that we see, you know, coming to life. So, you know, he'll probably go through some kind of mock trial, and he won't spend a day in prison. That's what I think. That's what I think. But David, let's hook up and let's get you on the show next week, because I think I'll have a lot to talk about if we have power. Okay, I wanted to talk about. Oh, it's Dawn, it's my new buddy. I can't talk to him right now. Let me do this. Okay. So I wanted to bring up John Levi's chart because I got permission to talk about him. See if I can find it. If you guys don't know who John Levi is, he's spends a lot of time exploring the possibility of Tartaria. And he's got a really, really interesting chart, especially as it relates to Tartaria. So John and I become friends a little bit. I really like him. I love his videos. They're honest. They're really honest videos. So here's this chart. And the reason why I wanted to bring this chart up is because, you know, when we deal with the nodes, the South Node is almost like a, you know, it's some astrologers believe it's very much related to past lives. And I'd be one of those astrologers. Now, when there's a planet that's around the South Node, to me, there's unfinished business with the South Node. And one of the things that I think South Node, people that have South Node in Taurus have an issue with at times is feeling really grounded and feeling like, you know, they're on the planet. People have Chiron and Taurus have something similar. But John's got Sun in Taurus. He's got Pallas in Taurus, conjunct the Sun. Jupiter conjunct Pallas in Taurus. And remember, Pallas is pattern recognition. South Node Taurus, Vesta in Taurus, and then Mercury in Taurus. That's a pretty hefty stellium in Taurus. So when it comes to getting into things like the Earth and history and structures, like this, to me, this is a chart that's incredibly front-loaded. Like it is incredibly, like this, when I look at this chart, it's like, he's like Rip Van Winkle waking up to remember a place that he's been to before, right? I feel like John was in Tartaria. Like he was there, and like he's doing everything in his power to remember that dream with the South Node in Taurus, right? Because here, let's just start with the Sun at 3 degrees Taurus. So it's early, and 3 degrees, by the way, the 33rd degree of the zodiac is supposed to be like one of the best degrees of the zodiac. I think in the Sabian symbols, it has to do with a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, if I'm not mistaken. It's a pretty interesting symbol. So, you know, we think about the number 33 in its kind of classic symbolic terms, the 33rd degree and the 33rd parallel. Well, he's born on the 33rd degree of the zodiac right there, 3 degrees Taurus, right? Starts off at 0 Aries, and by the time you get to Taurus at 3 degrees, that's 33 degrees. And then he has Pallas in a 3 degree conjunction with the sun. So what is Pallas? It's about pattern recognition, seeing things, understanding things. And in Taurus, it has to do with what? The earth. So he is committed with this sun right here to dig into pattern recognition with the earth. And with Jupiter conjunct Pallas, right, when he goes deeper and begins to move around and look at this and look at that, things begin to expand. Like the mystery of the earth and even time begins to reveal itself, right? And I think he's trying to remember, like he's trying to, bring that dream of Tartaria, the dream of a lifetime, into this lifetime and make it a waking dream. And here we have Vesta conjunct the South Node, and Vesta is the eternal flame, right? Vesta is the oldest of the asteroids, but to me, it's like it's sitting there. It's sitting there on that South Node, lighting it up. Let's light this thing up. Remember where you've been. Remember what this is about. This is an interesting chart given what he does, right? And then Mercury here in front of everything is there to articulate it. And I think it's interesting that John does that. He does these videos because Mercury in the 12th house is very hermetic. It's extremely hermetic. Like it's not out there, right? But I'll tell you what is out there. That's a 29-degree moon in Aquarius. And that's willing to follow this sort of, this path that's sort of offbeat and different, right? And the inconjunct to Saturn is, again, having to deal with Saturn as ground and Saturn as form and Saturn as, something that's structured. And especially in Cancer, it's like the home, and the moon here in Aquarius is really far out, I mean, he's talking about something that's a concept that's really different. It's out there, that there were cities here, there were people here, there were giants here. There's a whole hit, and he's not the only one. And again, you see this with his Aquarian moon because he's always giving shout outs to various people on his videos. There's not a week that goes by that he doesn't give somebody a shout out, right? I think this is a really interesting chart. It's a super interesting chart. And I think he's got a lot of endurance. He's got Mars in Cancer, so wide conjunction with Saturn. But usually when you get a Mars-Saturn conjunction, you get endurance. And he's incredibly curious, right? With Gemini on the ascendant. And Ceres here, feeding the mind, nurturing the mind. This is a good time for him. And I think his real discoveries around Tartaria are going to happen when that true node goes into Taurus. I think that's when everything, I think, opens up. And he has some very interesting revelations. Very interesting revelations. Pluto in the 5th house is super creative, right? And it's opposing it's opposing Venus there. It's at 9 degrees, wide opposition. And again, even with the 11th house, it's very, very collective. It's the internet, it's YouTube videos, it's doing the Patreon stuff. It's a very interesting chart, and I think it really speaks to John and what he does and his very specific and particular mission in this lifetime. And this is gonna be an interesting time as well, right? He's got Uranus conjuncting Jupiter in his chart. Wait till Uranus conjuncts Mercury in his chart. That's gonna be a hallelujah moment. And Saturn, Jupiter climbing up 9th house, higher consciousness. Saturn eventually, I think this would be a good time for him to write a book. With Saturn up in the 9th house, maybe get something published. something tangible, Taurus-like. I think that the challenges here are these squares to Saturn and just grounding, Saturn squaring Uranus and Saturn squaring Venus and Saturn squaring the Sun. It takes a while, I think, to understand, the Earth game with all those squares to Saturn. And I think in many cases it would be indicative of like a late bloomer, trying to deal with these structures and the form of the world, and the squares being difficult, challenging, using energy in order to stay in the game, right? It's a really interesting chart. And I think it's a chart that really speaks to John's path in a lot of ways. And I just keep coming back to this area right here, where the pattern recognition expands and opens up into other areas. And this 12th house, this house of mystery, the house of the soul. And there's a reminder here. It's like, don't forget, don't forget, don't forget. I'd love to get him on the Friday Forecast and do an interview with him and go deeper with the Tartarian stuff with him. It's got a nice Venus trine to Neptune. That's kind. It's kind. It's compassionate, empathic. And then he's got this really cool Moon Uranus trine. It's okay, right? He's exploring the potential for a different kind of home or a different kind of place. And what's interesting here is I know, people know that he has a coffee place. He does. I think he's got a coffee shop in Utah. So the true node there in the 6th house, that makes sense, doesn't it? Everyday service, work, but it's a means to an end, right? It's a means to an end. It's a way for him to, explore this other part of his chart. And normally when you've got the South Node here, or South Node just in general, right, wherever it is, if there's no other planets around the South Node, it's just kind of best to leave it alone, right? You can kind of tap into it, but you've got to really focus on that true node. But here, that's not the case. John doesn't get the luxury. In fact, he's here to remember his South Node. That's quite vivid. Anyway, he said I could share it with him, with you guys. And if you don't know his channel, I'll just throw it up here and give you guys a look-see at his channel. At 90,000 subscribers. And if you haven't dropped down into the Tartarian rabbit hole, I highly, highly suggest it. It's one of these things that I think in a time like this has an interesting potential of keeping things alive, right? That there's a dream in here somewhere. And whether it's a viable dream or whether it's a dream that exists to help us stay intrigued, filled with a sense of potential and adventure, of a place and a time that is both in our perhaps not so distant past and maybe also not in our not so distant future as well. It's worth checking out. All right. He makes Utah seem way cooler than I thought it was. I know, right? Yeah. Yeah. So where are we? We're about an hour and 40 in. I don't have a lot more to talk about tonight, to be honest with you. And I probably need to check in with Ringo. Christine, you'll be getting a call for sure. You will definitely get a call. And I want to thank everybody for supporting my channel, my show. It's going to be intense. I think it's going to be really. I think it's going to be. We're going through something. We're definitely going through something. We're going to be tested, and I'm not sure where we're going to be in 10 days or 12 days or 2 weeks. I'm not sure what channels are going to be around. I've been really lucky so far with my YouTube channel for whatever reason. Both of them have been kind of outside of the long arm of the law, but I don't know if it's because I stream live. I've not been a Patriot channel. I've not been a Q channel. Maybe that has something to do with it. I mean, I think anybody who listens to, what we talk about here and really listens to it, you'll understand that there's a lot more going on that we share that isn't just, theoretically Q or Patriot talk, but we are into the truth and we are into freedom and we are into real justice and creativity and imagination and authenticity and spirit and soul, and that will never go away. That will never go away. And we'll talk about it however we need to or want to. And that's always been a part of the deal and will be as long as it can be. So I'll be back tomorrow. We'll get into more stuff. We'll have a look at Ashley, a little bit of Ashley Babbitt material, and we'll find out where we are. Every day is kind of a new day in this winter in America. So use your head in order to discern what's real, your heart to open what's possible. John, thanks for letting me break your chart down. And everybody else, thanks for being a part of this. Stay strong. You are all loved. And please say a prayer for me with Ringo and the cats. I could use that. All right, everybody.